Hello, here we are again on Allison Unfiltered. I am excited to bring this next episode to you. I will try to sit still in my chair. As Danny says, I don't sit still very well. It's been a crazy day today. Apparently, the Riverside app where we record was down, so I should have recorded a couple of hours ago, but we're just now getting to it in the craziness of my day. So maybe this will just be short and sweet today. Um, First, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming here and for listening and supporting this podcast, supporting me. Um, it means the world to me. And I don't know if I tell y'all that often enough, but it really does mean the world to me. What would mean even more is if you would share this with other people, right? Because it's not just you that needs help and me, and it's everybody in the world. We're all looking for solutions to our struggles, right? And so the best thing you can do for someone is if you hear something that means the world to you or that kind of hits home with you, share it with someone, share the podcast and tell them they can subscribe. I mean, there's so much to this, and I know it's kind of gone back and forth as to what's happening, and I don't really know what's going to happen after we finish the 19 hard things because we are already on number 12, right? Crazy, isn't it? Oh, it's thundering outside again. That's so cool. Y'all get to hear some more thunder. So I want to give you some current events that are happening right now or that have happened in this last week. Danny's birthday is coming up, and I wanted to do something special for him. I know he loves like airplanes and the Blue Angels and things like that. And so for the last, I guess, about 6 months, I've been following this thing called Wings Over Cowtown. And it's at the Naval Air Force Base in Fort Worth. And it was so cool, y'all. It was so cool. It's free to the public, right? But we went up there Friday night and stayed in the Fort Worth Stockyards. Well, here's the deal. I've never been to the stockyards. I don't even know if Danny had ever been to the stockyards, right? I mean, it's okay. It's shopping and stuff like that, right? I think I saw some things I didn't know I would see. I think what I find so interesting is I am a Texas girl, born and raised, right? I've owned one pair of cowboy boots in my life. I guess it's kind of ludicrous, right? That I've only had one pair of cowboy boots. And they were like lace up ropers, back when it was cool in high school to wear Rocky Mountains and ropers. Oh my God. Yikes. I mean, all our asses looked like hearts in those Rocky Mountain jeans, right? But yeah, that style. Oh, and those shirts, my goodness gracious. I don't think I have any pictures of me and things like that. And if I did, I don't know if I'd show them to anybody. But anyway, um, so interesting. Just some interesting styles. It's interesting to me to see like the people that come from out of town, out of country to play the part as a Texas cowboy or a Texas cowgirl, right? So we were walking and I heard different languages, right? And different languages with girls in real short skirts and real tall cowboy boots, it was just interesting. Like kudos to you, right? I mean, you want to dress up and act the part and be where you are. That's awesome. There were also very normal people there too, but it was definitely an interesting place. Saw some interesting outfits for sure. Couple of things that I did find there though. So the Lucchese store. I'd never been in one, and I know it's high end, right? But holy crap, when you walk in there and just the smell of that place. I love the smell of leather. And so I'm fixing to explain to you how much of a big dork I am, okay? Um, so we go in there and I'm just like, I'm looking around and I'm looking at the prices and stuff and I see this belt, right? And it's a snakeskin belt. And of course, it's like $300. And I'm like, it's, it's really pretty. And then I look across the room and there's the matching boots, of course, right? And of course, I pick out some of the most expensive in the whole store, right? They were like almost $1,300, but they were beautiful black and white snakeskin. They were kind of blackish brown and white. Um, and I don't like brown very much, but I would have worn these, right? I would never pay that much for a pair of boots, but oh my gosh, they were just awesome. And then we walked around to this other little table and they had these little black boots. They were almost like not booties, a little taller than booties, right? But you'd just wear them under like bootcut jeans. I don't really think you'd wear them with shorts or a skirt or anything. But they were black and they had just a black pointed toe. They kind of had a lower heel and they had purple stitching, I guess is the word for it. And I love purple. I'm a total purple girl, right? And purple and black are my favorites. And so I put this boot up to my face and I smelled it. And I was like, oh my God, these smell so good. Like that's what I have in my car is a little Scentsy container that is called leather or something like that. So my car always smells like leather. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite smell, one of them, right? I don't like leather candles, but just like true real leather. And so I'm smelling this boot and I have this boot like sideways on my face, right? I'm smelling it. And Danny's like, I look at him and I said, this is why I don't need to own a pair of cowboy boots. And he goes, why? And I was like, because I would just sit around smelling my foot the whole time. Like I would just stick the boot up to my face and smell it the whole time because that's what I love to smell. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, you're the biggest dork on the planet. And I'm like, I know, right? Can't take me anywhere, especially not a Lucchese store, right? I'm real glad. Sometimes I'm a fool, and I didn't tell him this part, and he'll probably chuckle when he hears this. But I'm really glad that he told me how to say the name of the store. Like, I'm really glad he told me how to say the name of the store because I didn't ask, right? But I was like, "Oh, what's that?" He's like, "Oh, that's the Lucchese store." And I was like, I mean, if I would have tried to say that the way it's spelled, I would have butchered it, right? I would have totally butchered it. So thanks, babe, for helping me know how to say the name of this store before I went in. I mean, I like to think I'm kind of bougie sometimes, but I'm just not that bougie. I'm just not. So that was the first experience with Lucchese, and it was. I mean, they have great stuff, but I could tell that that wasn't the store for me, right? Um, I'm just not that. I don't know. I mean, uh, you can tell when you're with a certain caliber of people, of wealthy people. I'm definitely not that. So I felt a little out of place in there, actually. So anyway, the next thing we went to was we went walking and there's all these brick streets, right? And I thought I was going to wear high heels. And I'm so glad I didn't because when we met with the bartender that we met, she actually took our pictures at the restaurant we went to. And she's like, "Oh girl," she's like, "take your pictures in your heels and go back to your room and put your comfy shoes on and walk in those because you don't want to wear heels there." I'm so glad I listened to that and did it because it was like uneven brick streets, right? And so even by the time we were leaving, Danny was having a hard time, just like it was hurting his back, just walking on that such uneven levels everywhere. So when we went down to like some of the undercover area, they had this place called, I mean, the Candy World or Candy Barrel or something. I don't know. All I saw was like barrels of candy, and I'm like the palate of a 6 year old here, so I'm in hog heaven. And of course, they have saltwater taffy, which I love saltwater taffy. And I hit the freaking jackpot. I don't know if you saw this on my Facebook or not, but I hit the freaking jackpot. A couple of probably a year ago, my best friend Kelly Um, she found some saltwater taffy that is candy corn flavored saltwater taffy. Well, I freaking love candy corn. Candy corn, jelly beans, saltwater taffy. Those are my jam, right? And so she sent me this candy corn taffy, and I was like, oh my, she brought it back from somewhere for me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I think they were in like Branson, Missouri or something, and she saw it. And she brought me some back, and I haven't really been able to find any since. Holy bajoli, oh my God, y'all, there was a barrel of saltwater taffy candy corn flavor. Like, I was in heaven. Like, I got like a couple of big scoops of it, and I brought it home, and I haven't been allowing myself much of it at a time because number one, it'll tear out my teeth. Number two, it's terrible for me. Um, but man, that's good stuff. So if you like candy corn, you need to go find you some candy corn saltwater taffy because it is fabulous. I accidentally gave Danny a piece of it because I thought it was something different. He didn't like it very much. He doesn't like candy corn at all. He thinks that stuff was made like one time 1,000 years ago, and they're still selling the same batch of it. It cracks me up. Anyway, I'm a candy corn fanatic. All right, so that was the Cowtown experience. We had a really great bartender at a place called Attico. It was on the sixth floor of the Spring Hill Suites Marriott, which was right there on Main Street for the Stockyards. And this restaurant, it's like considered one of the best restaurants in Fort Worth. And once again, I have the palate of a 6-year-old. I'm looking at the menu, and Danny's looking at the menu, and he's like, there's nothing on here that you're going to eat. And I was like, no. So we start talking to the bartender, and she makes us a drink, and she makes Danny a drink, and it wasn't very good. So she made him a different drink. Um, Not that she didn't make it well, but anyway, her name was Vivian, and she was gorgeous and had this like beautiful black curly hair. It reminded me of like Pretty Woman hair. I mean, it was just stunning. She had the prettiest hair. And Danny was like, he's like, I don't mean to sound weird or anything. He's like, but that girl's got some great hair. And I was like, you should totally tell her that. That would make her day. And he's like, really, coming from a dude? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll tell her for you. So I told her, I was like, listen, my husband said a minute ago when you walked away that you have really great hair. And she's like, oh, thank you. And it was really sweet. Anyway, so we visited with her for a little while, and she's like, are you sure y'all don't want an appetizer? She's like, we have little flatbread pizzas. And I was like, I didn't see that on the menu. And she's like, well, it's on there. It's called this. And I was like, oh, well, that's fine. I didn't know what it was. Anyway, so we ended up getting this flatbread pizza that was like, it was ham. It was like a smoked ham and apple, like green apple. Y'all, it was incredible. It was probably one of the best flatbread pizzas, my mouth's watering, I've ever put in my mouth. Like the crust, the everything, I shouldn't have eaten it. Oh, but it was so good. And so we had that as an appetizer. Then we went down to the Stockyards and walked around. And then we went over to dinner. And I picked this place called Jake's. And it was downtown Fort Worth. And I picked it because I wanted a hamburger. This was kind of our cheat meal, right? I wanted a hamburger, but I don't know. I didn't know where to go. And I saw this place and it looked very similar to Snuffers, which is one of my favorite hamburger places ever. And they had cheese fries on the menu and stuff like that. So we went, oh, so disappointing. Don't go to Jake's thinking it's like Snuffers because then you'll be really disappointed. It was It was okay, right? We were both like, eh. And then we were back at the hotel and in bed by 9 o'clock. And then we realized, because we are so old, that in the future, if you don't want to listen to loud trucks and Harleys and everything driving the strip until 2 a.m. because last call there is 1:45 a.m. I don't know how they get away with it, but they do. So until 2 a.m., like people are cruising up and down the main street, right? Well, our window was literally like at one of the stoplights where people took off. So just FYI, if you stay in that hotel, make sure you get like a room on the back side of the hotel so that noise is blocked. I don't think I went to sleep till probably like 2:30 that morning, and I took a Benadryl. So terrible night of sleep. But anyway, I digress. So the next morning we got up and we drove out to the Air Force Base, and that was really cool. I've never been, or a naval air station, NAS, NAJ. I don't know. It was cool. But I've never like driven through like a naval base. And the way they had us come in, since we got early parking, uh, we were able to park on the base. So like y'all, we're driving through and you see like where the the base housing, the military base housing, and then you see like the streets that have the nicer houses where the admirals and colonels and all those people live, right? But it was one that said like Desert Storm Community uh, Housing or something like that. It was just neat, right? And then you see like some of the nice boats parked there because this was actually on a lake as well. It was just really neat. This place was huge, like huge. And I know those little Air Force boys were like 12. But dang, they were cute in their Air Force get-ups. And we saw the Blue Angels there, y'all. There was two girls that were pilots on the Blue Angels, but once again, these kids are like they're like 12. I mean, that's how they look. I'm sure they're in their 20s. But that just absolutely blows my mind that they're flying these aircrafts that and then the F-16 that flew. Listen, I'm not a big airplane person, but I am a big Top Gun person. Okay. Like Top Gun was the epitome of my growing up in the 90s. Okay. And I can hear, I mean, I can hear, and I'm like right up in it, all in it, in my memories and all the nostalgia, right? I love Top Gun. I could watch that movie 100 times over. So anyway, I'm surprised I never went after an Air Force boy, but I did not. But it was that F-16 that flew over, like it did a flyby pass over us, and it just like it rocked your chest, and I was like, "Yeah!" And Danny looks at me and he's like, "I didn't know you liked this stuff this much." I was like, "I love the shit out of the F-16s. Like that's a beast, right? That is a beast, and someone who can fly that, I have so much respect for because." That is such a beast of a plane. Like, it is badass. Anyway, I get excited about the F-16. I think it's really cool. Would I ever want to fly in one? No, not the way they fly them. I would throw up all over the place. But, man, it was cool. So, and they had some other planes that were really cool, and the Blue Angel show was really cool. Um, we were the idiots out there that didn't bring chairs, so we paid $35 a chair for $9.99 Academy chairs. I mean, good God, we didn't really know what to expect. It was the first air show we went to. Next time we'll be a lot more prepared. At least we had sunblock on, right? That was the biggest thing. But my brother and his girlfriend met us out there, and we just had a really great time. It was really fun, and we got to I'm gonna tell you a little thing. A little thing. I knew I was going to be out there. We have that new product called GLPX with Xyngular, right? And I knew I was going to be out there with a bunch of tempting food, like all the fair food. And girl, like y'all, I have the palate of a 6-year-old once again. So Danny and I, we drank a shake that morning when we got up. We went and had a good breakfast, before we went to the air show. And then we got there and we had a little snack, like we shared a pretzel, right? Shouldn't have eaten it, but did. Shared a pretzel. And then we took our GLPX. And y'all, I didn't give two craps about any of that food the rest of the time that we were there. The only thing I ended up getting was a snow cone from the Kona ice truck, just because I'm a kid and I love cherry snow cones. Um, but yeah, I mean, that stuff works. Like I wasn't even thinking about food. The smells weren't even like it was easy, right? And then we went to Uncle Julio's for dinner, which is one of my favorite places to eat in Dallas. And I got the Guadalajara. And if you don't know what a Guadalajara is, it's probably one of the most expensive things on the menu, but it has their steak, they're like their fajita stuff. So steak, chicken, and then bacon wrapped shrimp with like cheese, like Monterey Jack cheese and jalapeno. I take the jalapeno out. You know that, right? Um, because I'm a sissy. But man, that's good food. I mean, great food. Love it, love it. Had dinner with my brother and his girlfriend, and he's out of the hospital and doing a lot better, which is good. So those of you that said some prayers, thank you. Oh, I didn't expect for my current events to go on this long, but there was some exciting stuff to tell. And then we headed home, and there was so much noise between like the stockyards and at night, and then um like all the traffic, and then all the noise from the air show. Because, excuse me, it was just really loud. That And in the restaurant at Uncle Julio's, it was like this one big room and everything echoed. And it was just so loud. And I was like, when we drive home, can we just be quiet? And he's like, absolutely. Y'all, we drove 2.5 hours home with no radio. Like, we talked a little bit. I worked a little bit. Um, and I talked to one of the kids for a minute, but like there was no noise. It was wonderful. We got home, we got in the hot tub, and then we went to bed. It was fantastic. It was a great weekend. We still have some more celebration coming up for his birthday. But can y'all give me some ideas on what to buy my husband for his birthday? Because he won't give me any ideas. I have no clue what to buy this man for his birthday, aside from take him out to a nice dinner. But I want to get him something, but I don't like, what do you buy the person that buys whatever he needs, whatever he wants, whenever he wants, right? I don't know. Hopefully he'll come up with something. I'm not a good gift giver. I'm a very practical human being, so you just tell me what you want and I'll buy it for you. I don't like gift shopping. It's not my favorite thing. All right, so that's the current events. Oh, one last thing. So yesterday Gage came over, and we've been trying to clean up the backyard since he moved out, and he had this planter box outside in the back that he just like the Arbor Tree Foundation sent him like, I don't know, 20 seeds of trees to plant, and he planted them all in this one box. And then all of a sudden the acorns from the pin oaks started growing wild, right? And so yeah, so we cleaned all that out. We spent a lot of really good time together. I went back over to his house and helped him pull some weeds in his house, and we just had some really good time together. So it was nice. It was nice to just spend some one-on-one time together. Um, but we also planted a tree. So we had removed a tree from the backyard because it was not good. It was just dead. It wasn't a great tree. And someone had poured concrete into it at some point. So it had been dead for a while, but we planted another tree just like it in its place. So we'll see how that tree grows over the next little bit of time. Um, and all the construction that's been going on in our neighborhood. Do y'all hear the beep, beep, beeps? You don't hear anything right now. We have asphalt. Officially, this morning, I walked 2.5 miles, and I was in my white tennis shoes on asphalt. Like no mud, no white rock, no nothing. Asphalt. It was wonderful. 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 All right, so let's get to the 19 hard things I do to be successful. And this is going to be kind of short because there's not really a lot to talk about it because it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm glad I had some good stuff for current events. So 19 hard things I do to be successful. We are on number 12. I search for my own explanations even when I'm told to accept the facts. I think that's huge. And every one of these, I go down the list of all the things that I do. The 19 hard things I do to be successful. This is by David John Kay, and it says I do the hard things, and there's 19 of them listed. 1, I make the call I'm afraid to make. 2, I get up earlier than I want to get up. 3, I give up more than I get in return right away. I give more than I get in return right away. 4, I care more about others than they care about me. 5, I fight when I'm already injured, bloodied, and sore. 6, I feel unsure and insecure when playing it safe seems smarter. 7, I lead when no one else is following me yet. 8, I invest in myself even though no one else is. 9, I look like a fool while I'm looking for answers I don't have. 10, I grind out the details when it's easier to shrug them off. 11, I deliver results when making excuses is an option. And now we're on 12. I search for my own explanations, even when I'm told to accept the facts. I don't know about you, but I'm a very resourceful person. And when I first started Xyngular, the first thing I did was go to their website. Like once I realized what I had my hands on, right? And I wanted to get involved in the business side of things, I went to their website and I pulled up their resource section and I read every single thing that I could possibly read about this company, about the products, about what the business can do, about the trips you can earn. Like I had this little, I was so proud. I printed all this stuff out. I had it in a notebook with like, the sleeve protectors and everything. Like I was set up for my business, resourceful. And and that's just who I am, right? I want to know what I'm doing. And I would rather do something like that, like search for my own explanations on how things work, even when I'm told to accept the facts. And that means like feel like, oh, don't worry about all that stuff. Just to worry about this right now, and you'll find all that stuff out later. That's great, but that's not who I am personally. Now there are a lot of people like that, but that's just not me. So I did the research. I was resourceful, and it's what's made me a great coach today too, and a great leader, is because I do know the answers to a lot of the questions, right? And so I ask, like, how many of you have done that? If you're in business for yourself, how many of you have actually taken that initiative to go research and find out instead of just waiting for someone to tell you? Because if you want to be a leader, then you need to take action. Action is one of the biggest things there is. You can read all the self-help books, you can do all the things, and you can read and go to trainings and do, but if you're not putting any of that into action, then it's all pointless, right? You're just spinning your wheels. Um, but it's almost like everything in life. I search for my own explanations even when I'm told to accept the facts. How many times are we told to accept the facts? And we just and the majority just goes on with it. But those of us who search for our own explanations and our own understanding, rather than just accepting what someone says it is what it is, why wouldn't you? Don't you think you would learn more if you did? Why wouldn't you seek out that information and seek out everything that you know, so that I don't know. There's just always more than one way to skin a cat. And when you, well, now that I have a cat, that kind of sounds terrible, but you get the reference. Do you just, like I said, wait around for someone to give you the knowledge and you just believe what they say? Or do you go try to find the answers on your own? How resourceful of a person are you for yourself, for your life, for your business? Because if you just sit around waiting, and I love this term all the time, well, if God wants it to happen, it'll happen. Bullshit. That is a cop out. That is bullshit. You know what happens? God gave you the tools. God put you in front of me for me to be able to teach you. He gave you me. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant. This is true. Like people on my team, this isn't going to happen without you taking action. God gave me you. He gave me you to give you the ability to learn all of these things. But if you don't use the tools that you've been given, right, then you're just sitting around waiting for God to make it happen for you. That's just a crock of shit. And I hate that cop out more than anything in the world, because I feel like the people who haven't gone very far in life are the ones who use that excuse. And that's why they haven't gone very far in life. I have faith. I believe in God. But I also know that God gave me the ability to fight for myself, to make decisions for myself, They're not always the best decisions, right? But he gave me that ability and that free will to do these things for myself. I'm not just sitting around waiting on God to make it happen, because then nothing would happen. He made me smart for a reason. He made you smart for a reason. You just have to believe that you are, right? You have to believe that you're smart enough to go look for all of the explanations when you're told to just accept how things are. Like, what? I can't understand that. And that goes into our political situation right now. There's so many people that are just accepting what's being said and not doing any research. Like, what is wrong? Why aren't you doing that? I will tell you why. Because we're lazy. As human beings, we are lazy. And it's easier for someone to just tell us the answer than it is for us to go search for it ourselves. A long time ago, I had a coach, and she knew me. She knew me well. And I would ask a question, and she knew that the question I was asking was somewhere in our resources. But I needed to learn how to find the answer to that question. So she would wait. And she told me this one time. She said, "You always wanted an answer immediately." And I would just wait. I wouldn't open your question. I would give you at least an hour. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you would come back and say, "Never mind, I found the answer." And that's exactly what she wanted me to do. So if you have a coach that's giving you all the answers, they're enabling you to continue to act like you're acting. They're not they're not what's the word I'm looking for? They're not they're not teaching you right. Go find the answers for yourself. It's interesting how when you have a question to something and you go look for it on your own and you actually find the answer, how proud you are of yourself. It's like just like a moment of like, oh, wait, I can do this, right? And it gives you a little bit more self-confidence, not necessarily pride, but self-confidence. You're proud that you found it, but it gives you more self-confidence that you can go out and find the answers on your own. So why don't you do that? Don't just sit and wait for someone to give it to you. That's just crap. Seriously, it's crap. And don't just wait for someone to give you the answer because it's easier. My family will message me and ask me about something before they will ever go Google it. And it irritates the dog shit out of me. I love my family, but Google is just as close to their fingertips. But it's easier for them to like text me and ask me than it is for them to go find out the answer for yourself. Just go find out the answer. Um, I don't know. It's crazy. I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. And I'm almost done. Um, you have the ability, the same ability that I have. I don't have a college degree. I don't have even a year under my belt in college. You know, I have a high school education for the most part, a little bit of college. I made almost $1 million with this company. And it's not because I sat around and waited for someone to make it happen or waited for God to make it happen. It's because I made it happen myself, because I worked and I took action. And, you know, there's a song in it, one of the verses in it said, "I think it's kind of funny that they slept all night. Here's a couple of things you should know about me. This is no plan B, you know, just a one-way ticket." Um, and that's how I feel, right? And the song says, "I've been waiting for this all my life." And it describes me so much. It's called What It Takes. And I can't remember off the top of my head who it's by, but you should go listen to it because it's pretty great stuff. Anyway, Go find answers for yourself. Go be resourceful. You can. You are capable of it. You have the same ability as everyone else to go find the answers. Don't just accept things as facts because someone told you that's what it was. Use your own brain and go find your own answers. Okay. Peace out, homies. Love y'all lots. See you later next week.